And we welcome you to the second floor of the Duncan Student Center alongside Ryan Murphy. I'm Jacob Iron. So happy to have you with us on this Navy episode. But Murph, first time back after an extended break. You're finally able to maybe get back into the saddle a little bit?
Yeah, I took a week off last week, but it's so great to be back along you and the guys here today. Excited for the show, Jake.
Hopefully that wasn't paid time. But let's get going here on this one. We've got a lot to cover. We're talking running back 2. We are talking defense. How will it fare against the triple option? Swarbrick makes a case for some realignment talks in the ACC. And also, we're talking a little bit of Dublin here as well, Murph.
Absolutely we are, and there's 3,614 miles that separate South Bend, Indiana, USA from Dublin, Ireland. But this week, both places are united by a palpable excitement for the kickoff of the college football season tomorrow. More than a few familiar Notre Dame faces have made the trip. 40,000 fans are expected to travel to the game, reportedly a record number of people traveling internationally from the United States for a single sporting event. One in that number is Ndtv's very own Sam Kaufman, who joins us now live from Dublin. Sam, how are you?
Ryan, I am good. I am here in Dublin, Ireland, and it is the town to be in this weekend for the Notre Dame contingent. We have been sightseeing so far. We've been to cathedrals and churches. Right behind me, or right behind you guys, and the camera is Trinity College. Right behind me is Dame Street, which has been renamed to Notre Dame Street this weekend, and it is a hip and happening place, let me tell you. There are so many Notre Dame fans here. It's been such an incredible time with the Notre Dame community, and in fact, I was at Buskers last night, which is the pub of the Fighting Irish, or at least it is this weekend, and take a look at what the live music was playing. That's right, Mr. Brightside. It was an incredible time. We were singing the Notre Dame Victory March, the Alma Mater, and Mr. Brightside. And let me tell you, everybody in that bar knew the words. So I don't know if it was all Notre Dame fans or some Irish locals as well, but it was a good time.
Sam, one more question before we let you go. Enjoy the festivities. We've talked about the Notre Dame faithful making the trip, but let's talk about the other side right now. How has the Navy contingent traveled, and does it compare to the Irish?
I was asking the same question myself, Jake, and you know, I happened to sit by a Navy fan on the way over, on the plane ride over, talked with some of them around. I said, you know, hey, how many of you guys are showing up? What was the kind of communication in the Navy community before? And you know, they said, hey, it's a great game, but not many fans are coming. You know, it is far, but they're definitely here. There are parents, there's alumni. They are here, but I can't tell you that they have more fans than the Fighting Irish. I don't think that the Fighting Irish have to worry about a quiet stadium tomorrow at all.
Yeah, looks like you're having a lot of fun out there, Sam. Enjoy it.
Thanks, guys. I'll send it back to you in the studio. I'll see you back here on campus. And hey, next time, we all got to come because it's a great city.
Yeah, we're going to have to make the trip, Sam. I do agree. Maybe next time, maybe an alumni reunion, but our own Sam Kaufman in Ireland. Thank you so much, Sam. Festivities, though, are only part of the story. Amidst the pageantry and excitement, there's actual football to be played for the first time in 8 months. Mr. Murphy?
Thanks, Jake. Here with Andrew McGuinness and JJ Post on the panel. Lots of questions going into this season and the game tomorrow for this Fighting Irish football team, guys. One of those on the defensive side of the ball. We may get some answers through tomorrow. How do you guys think the defense will fare?
Yeah, I'm interested to see what the packaging is, because heading into last year, a lot of the buzz was maybe we'd see Jack Kaiser in not necessarily a safety role, but a more safety-adjacent role than his usual linebacker status. J.D. Bertrand was unavailable for that Navy game, and Kaiser went right back to linebacker. But is that something we see Notre Dame roll with? Navy obviously going to be integrating passing a little more into their attack, given the new offense coordinator hire, Grant Chestnut from Kennesaw State. He comes from the Paul Johnson triple option tree, but there is a possibility he wants to take a more modern spin, perhaps, on the triple option. One of the things that got the regime change in Navy was the triple option felt stale. It felt like they needed a new look at it. Grant Chestnut could be that, and we don't know exactly what he plans to do, but it figures to be in the same similar, type of style that it was in the past. That being said, Notre Dame does have a couple options here. You know, you could maybe see Kaiser in that Aztec formation they've talked about, where they want to get 3 safeties on the field at one time. You'd imagine that'd be more against the spread style offense, when you need to have the ball be pushed down the field more vertically. But it is possible, if they want to try to fit Kaiser on the field as almost a 4th linebacker, that maybe they move to 3 safeties and have Kaiser be that 3rd safety, quote unquote. It wouldn't be an exact replica, but it would probably be more akin to a safety than it would a linebacker. But I think between the extra prep time they'll get, because they had all offseason preparation, and between having experienced linebackers and deep defensive line, they'll do fine.
Yeah, and if Notre Dame goes to that package with Kaiser, kind of playing safety a little bit, that could allow Jalen Sneed to get some more playing time. He's someone that has been very hyped up as one of Notre Dame's future next great linebackers. Someone Marcus Freeman said when he's on the field, he makes them a better team. And really, Notre Dame's linebackers are going to have a lot of the burden on their shoulders in this game, because the defensive line is almost not necessarily an entirely new group from last year, but Notre Dame's 3 biggest forces on the D-line last year, the Ademilola brothers and Isaiah Foskey, and they're now gone this year. So they're going to need guys to step up. Guys like Javonte Jean-Baptiste, the Ohio State transfer, guys like Gabe Rubio and Riley Mills. They're going to be not just rotation players anymore. They're going to have to be the guys who really carry the load for the Notre Dame defensive line. It's going to be a big task for them right out of the chute. Obviously, it's helpful for Notre Dame that they've had all offseason to prepare for Navy, but these guys are going to be thrown right into the fire, because obviously, we don't know exactly what Navy's going to do, but they're probably going to run the ball far more often than just about any team in college football would, which means those guys are going to be tested very often, and the linebackers might have to clean up the slack if they're not on their A game right out of the chute.
Just one of the many things we'll be watching for in tomorrow's game. We will be talking about some things on the offensive side of the ball just after this break. Stick with us. You're watching Shamrock Sports.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to ND Sunrise.
This is the
review of the Keenan Review.
That's right, we've got a big game in Sin City.
Plot twist, I am the Grim Reaper.
Overall, this year's event was a rousing success.
Would Notre Dame be the first one to accept ASL as a foreign language as a department?
Once again, I'm Elena Morgan from ND Sunrise, signing off.
Welcome you back with Ryan Murphy, just working himself back. We have to do a little bit of load management here for him, so I'm going to come in and I'm going to settle in and be ready to go here, so that he can take some off, maybe go get a glass of water and be ready to go. But big question coming into this game is, who is running back 2 for this Notre Dame football team?
My suspicion is it's going to be more of a committee than a true running back 2, but I do think if you have to put a name on it, Jabran Payne is the guy you're going to look for. Dayline McCullough, one of the things he keeps on bringing up is he sees running back room in terms of roles, not reps necessarily. And we know Audrey Westman will be the bell cow, but for those other 8 to 10 roles that he specifies, you got to have players that are able to fill a lot of them. Pass protection being one of them. Jabran Payne, a name that keeps coming up as a very good pass blocker, someone who can also work out of the backfield in passing situations if you want to give it to the running back. He works there. We've seen the blue gold game. He can run between the tackles as well. Just a really versatile player, someone by all accounts had a really nice spring and summer. I expect him, if we do have a nominal number 2 running back, to be that guy, but I do think it's going to be more of a committee system regardless.
Committee system regardless. McGuinness, the NBC man himself.
Yes, I agree with JJ's point about it mostly being a committee, but someone I'm excited to see take the field for the first time in a meaningful game in a Notre Dame uniform is Jadarian Price. He missed all of last season with lower body injury, but looked very good in the spring game. Definitely showed some flash there. All reports of his work in practice of the offseason have been pretty positive as well. You can see the speed right there. I mean, it's truly special. Audric Estime definitely has speed certainly, but he's more of a power back. Price maybe a little bit more of a finesse type of runner. See him there again, flashing the great speed, stays in bounds. I think he's someone that is going to get some playing time for Notre Dame. Especially in the transfer portal era, it's important to play your young players right away. You can't necessarily afford to be as patient with them as you used to be, because you risk them jumping to another school, like Logan Diggs, for example. He made the leave to LSU this offseason. So I think Price is going to get some playing time now that he's back at full health, and hopefully he makes the most of it. Yeah,
we will have an answer to that question pretty soon, I would think, after tomorrow's game. For JJ Post and Andrew McGuinness, we'll send it to a quick break and be right back. This is Shamrock Sports on NDTV.
Hi, Irish. My name is Elisa Honey, and I'm NDTV Director of Operations. If you'd like to support NDTV, make sure to click on the link on the screen or in our description. It's an Amazon link, will take you straight to the site, and any purchase you make through that link, we receive a small portion of the revenue. This is a great way to support NDTV and get all those things you need for the perfect Notre Dame tailgate. I'm talking, mugs and flags and hats and all the merch that you need. So make sure to click on that link and support NDTV. We're here for all of you. Thank you.
Welcome you back here. We brought in Ryan Murphy himself. It's good to know we all got the dress code today. Navy Blazers. I like it, gentlemen. Way to be CC'd on the right memo. We ready to go, though?
We're always ready.
Thanks, so.
All right, well, let's go. We've got big news out of Dublin, and once again, it's not just a football team traveling, it's a large majority of the main building as well. And one of those was Jack Swarbrick, the athletic director, who made his presence known on the Dan Patrick Show earlier this week when he had comments about realignment in the state of college football in general.
Can you sum up what's happened with college football in the last, where would you start?
Complete disaster.
How did we get here, Jack?
I wish I knew. And listen, I'm not. We need to find a home for Stanford and Cal. You can't have two of the great academic institutions in the world not have a place to play.
What kind of solution you got?
We're working on it.
Meaning?
Well, there's still consideration of the ACC as a home for those schools.
Okay.
There's a lot to break down there. So, one, you talk about him and just saying that he has no idea how we got here in this situation in college football. And then you also have the realignment conversation. But first I want to talk about the first point he made and how right now many could call college football a complete disaster and how this has ultimately blown up.
Yeah, I mean, there's two things for me that's interesting about this. For one, he's absolutely right. It is absurd that Cal and Stanford, two of the best schools in the entire country in academia, and also two of the best schools in the entire country in terms of non-revenue sports, looking at more than just football and men's basketball and women's basketball. Stanford and Cal are powerhouses across the board in those other sports. To them not being in a Power 5 conference, it's ridiculous, plain and simple. That being said, I also find it really amusing that the ACC is drawn between two minds here. You have the Cal and Stanford contingent of Notre Dame, who is not actually in the conference, and you have the don't let them in contingent of Florida State, who has spent the last week yelling that they don't want to be in the conference. And those are the two main stakeholders here for the ACC, which is frankly just hilarious, and I am very interested to see who the ACC listens to, the people that don't want to be there or the people that don't want to be there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point, JJ. And, in terms of Jack's question about how we got here, it kind of seems like it's just like a death by 1,000 cuts type of situation. Realignment's certainly nothing new. Obviously, this is a very extreme wave of it, probably the biggest that we've ever seen, certainly, especially if you go back and include USC and UCLA jumping to the Big Ten. Obviously, news that came out last year. But, we've seen realignment happen before, with schools like Rutgers making the jump to the Big Ten and Nebraska as well a few years ago, Texas A&M to the SEC. So realignment's nothing new. It's obviously created some great new rivalries. It's also certainly cost some old ones, certainly. And, obviously the focus right now is very clearly on football and money and all of that good stuff, which, as we've seen, has come at the expense of, most other sports as well. And, in talking about revenue-generating sports, Stanford's pretty good at women's basketball as well. So it's not like, that they aren't they're a total non-factor in those.
Football as early as 3 years
exactly.
ago. It's not like they're a slouch program either. This was a team that was in the initial, obviously the initial playoff was a while ago, but you go back to the first year's playoffs, they were not in the playoff, but they were not bad either.
Yeah, sorry, I mean, the 2015 team, they kept Notre Dame out, and they had won one more game in the regular season. I believe they were 10-2 that year, so they might not have a chance to get there themselves. But like I said, it's a death by 1,000 cuts thing. It's always been a what have you done for me lately business, but, over the last few years or so with, the leaping revenue figures, the advent of streaming completely changing how college sports and sports in general, and everything in general is broadcast, it's just thrown everything upside down.
Murphy?
JJ, I want to go back to what you said, though. I do think Notre Dame is absolutely within their rights to push for Cal and Stanford to be in the conference. I know they're not a full member for football, but they are a full member for everything else, and that's more sports than just football, and I understand that. But that does not necessarily mean I think that it's the right thing for them to do, but I think they're within their rights there.
I don't think they're not within their rights. I just think it's fascinating that the two most passionate people at the table right now for the ACC are the two members that are the most explicit about not really wanting to be full-time members. Listen, Florida State's well within their rights to not want to share the pie of anyone. Notre Dame's well within their rights to flex their muscles as a member of the ACC in every other context of football. But it is amusing to me that those are the two schools that are kind of going back and forth here as the pro and anti sides of this debate.
Yeah, it's a fascinating conversation around for the most part when you look at the entire situation, when you look at the entire restructuring. But I want to pose one more question before we actually get out of this conversation. Does Notre Dame have any rights? We've talked about it with a bunch of political science majors, and I feel like Notre Dame is taking this on as its global diplomacy. Yeah, I know. As global diplomacy in this regard of Notre Dame feels like they have to be the ones patrolling it. You look back to last semester, when you look at the op-ed talking about NIL, talking about the existence of college athletics, it feels like Notre Dame is taking a stance that's setting up Pete Bavacqua, who will come in after Jack Swarbrick, to be the global diplomatist and try and be the commerce and maybe be the moderators in college football.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I agree with the assessment that they're going to become a diplomat in any sense, because you need to be liked by everyone to be a diplomat. I think I'm not sure in the modern college football scene that's where we are. But I do think this is a massive win for Notre Dame's PR team. Look at 5 years ago how Notre Dame's independence was perceived nationally. It was seen as snooty. We're above these conferences. We don't want to be here. And obviously that is going to be a rotation that among some people will always maintain. But now, from this perspective, Notre Dame is the one bastion of what college football used to be. You go back 20 years, you have an entirely different Big Ten, an entirely different SEC, an entirely different Pac-12, a Pac-12 that exists, a Big 12 that's entirely different. The only thing in terms of conference dynamic that's the same as 10 years ago or 20 years ago is Notre Dame's not in one. And I think more and more people will maybe respect for Notre Dame for always taking it. It's not a more expensive deal; it's a cheaper deal, in fact, to be independent. They are losing money by not joining a conference, because we've seen some of these TV deals. But they do what they want to do because they respect their history, and that's something I think will gain a little more respect in the coming time. Yeah,
there's a lot to be said. However, though, we could fill an entire episode of conference realignment and Notre Dame's stance on this, but we'll take a quick break and send it to Tyler, who's talking about everything else that's going on in campus away from the gridiron.
Fighting Irish fans, fall sports are all the way back in action this week, so let's get into what Notre Dame brings to the table beyond the gridiron over the next 3 months. Women's soccer, currently ranked 12th in the nation, looks to build on a 17-win season, which fell a game short of the College Cup. In terms of returning talent, Nate Norman's side boasts a stacked back line and now includes graduate transfer and two-time national champion Christina Lynch, who missed all of 2022 with an injury. ACC Defender of the Year Ava Gattino and Women's World Cup contributor Kiki Van Zanten are tasked with anchoring ND up the middle once again. And up front, the Irish must replace the production of all ACC first-teamers, Corbin Albert and Olivia Wingate. That's where the 10-player class of first-years comes in. Morgan Roy and Meg Merwicki have already tallied goals, while Charlie Codd and Chase Ying have played significant minutes early in the season. They joined third-team All-ACC selection Maddie Mercado, who will serve as the centerpiece of the Irish attack in 2023. Much like their comrades on the pitch, the men's soccer team is seeking an influx of offensive threats as well. After a College Cup run in 2021, Chad Riley's side came back down to earth last season, finishing the campaign just one game above 500. Notre Dame's potential begins between the posts, where senior goalkeeper Brian Dowd returns after playing all 17 games last year. The Irish will be captained by preseason All-ACC watch list defender Patty Burns and graduate midfielder Ethan O'Brien, a significant piece in the success of 2021, who lost his 2022 to an injury. In terms of offensive production, Notre Dame lost next to nothing, but certainly needs more. Returning forwards Daniel Russo and Matthew Rue combined for 10 goals a season ago, but no other players scored more than twice. Moving inside of the volleyball court, the Irish expect a step forward in Salima Rockwell's second season at the helm. Going 10-18 in a transitional season last year, Notre Dame dropped 9 consecutive matches before securing the season finale at Virginia Tech. Sophomore outside hitters Avery Ross and Lucy Trump are ready for the next step with a full season of heavy usage under their belts. Lauren Tarnoff, Fiona Schrader, and Paris Thompson also return after complementing the two standout first years well. Then, of course, there's senior libero Hattie Monson, who garnered the attention of the ACC's best with a team-leading 453 digs last season. Notre Dame's season begins this weekend in Lubbock, Texas, and will feature marquee home matchups with Louisville and Pitt just before fall break. Elsewhere, cross country will open its season with the Valparaiso Invite September 1st, and the golf teams will begin play on September 4th.
Thank you so much, Tyler. We've moved over here and we get a little bit more loose. This is our favorite part of the show. This is score prediction and who is winning tomorrow. So, guys, I will start with you, Murph. You're on my left. You're my Desmond Howard.
Wait, he's on your left.
Yeah, on the screen he's on my left. Yeah, we're going off the screen. All right, so who wins?
All right, so I'm just going to tell you a quick fact here. Navy's lost their last 3 season openers by a combined score of 118-17.
Is that good?
Also 0-2 against Notre Dame and Ireland. They've given up 50-plus points in each of those games. I got a big win for the Irish folks. 45-13 Notre Dame.
Wow, not even getting the 50 mark, though.
Not getting the 50 mark, but they're going to get close. They're going to get close.
If you've ever wanted to see someone that is more high on a Notre Dame team, give it to Ryan Murphy because this guy is about ready. He is so pumped up for tomorrow's game. He's ready to rock.
I'm an optimist. What can I say?
Yeah. I'm going to go on the other side, though. I think the time difference is going to mess up both teams. Once again, I think the offense is there a little bit for the Irish. I think it will come out stagnant. Give me 24-10. I think that's going to be your ultimately, with Notre Dame getting no victory, just with it being Navy and the triple option.
All right, as the guy actually to your left, I think I do agree with you though in terms of the time difference, and both teams I think starting slow. Obviously, first game of the season, Navy's going to throw some chaos out there for sure. I think this Notre Dame team is going to look a little sluggish out of the gate. Notre Dame is probably going to have to pass a lot. Judging off Navy completely shutting down the Irish run game last year, and Navy is a team that's potentially in good position to really test Notre Dame's new defensive line. That being said, I think Notre Dame is very clearly a better team. I believe in Marcus Freeman and his ability to make the transition into his second season as head coach and take a big step forward. I think Notre Dame's going to win 35-21, but it's going to be one of those games that feels like Notre Dame's ahead by more than they actually are. I think the Irish will enter halftime up a score, quickly get a double-digit lead, and never let Navy get back within a single score.
Mr. Post?
Care to tell me when the last time we opened a season against Navy in Ireland was? What year that was?
I believe it'd be 2012, JJ.
Good year for Irish fans. We all remember. Seriously, though, so Navy is an interesting one because on one hand, you make a good point. Every time teams have time and time to prepare for Navy's triple option, the unique effects of triple option are severely mitigated. You've seen that in the last several openers of them. You've seen that when Notre Dame opens with them. So I think the triple option will be a little less potent, even with a new offense coordinator giving some different looks to the triple option. That being said, forecast calls for rain. Navy's really good against the run. There are some spooky facts in this one. I think I agree with Andrew. Notre Dame's going to start off a little slower than one might expect. They're going to have to try to deal with the conditions. They're going to have to try to run the ball past a very good run defense. But now that you have Sam Hartman at quarterback, one would imagine being able to open up the field a little more, get downfield, unlock those deep throws should be a little easier. I have Notre Dame slowly but surely pulling away, doubling up Navy, winning 34-17, and most importantly, hitting the over.
I was going to ask Mr. Post, was he going to hit the over? He makes sure.
You bet against America and against the proud Naval Academy. I will never bet against America. Hit the over.
Coach, he's all tipped in, baby. He's going. He's all for it. It's hitting the over, so I think that's only fitting how we can end this Shamrock Sports episode.
There's no way you can go for
always hit the over. At long last, college football is back. Notre Dame and Navy kicks off tomorrow at 2:30 Eastern in Dublin, Ireland. You can tune in on NBC, but until then, check out more on our Shamrock Sports content at Notre Dame Television YouTube page or any of our social media. For Ryan Murphy, Andrew McGuinness, and JJ Post. For our crew in the back, Jake Miller, Ian McKenzie, Elise Tahoney, and Kian Bagenstow, and the rest of our wonderful staff that may not be here, I'm Jacob Irons. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. And as always, go Irish.